Let's bring in South Carolina Republican Senator Tim Scott, who's also the chairman of the Senate Banking Committee. Senator, thank you for taking some time out of your day at this big event to join us. Now, you just spoke to the crowd a little while ago.
Yes, sir.
So tell me, what is your message, and how do you feel that this event is going to resonate around the country?
It's always important to recognize our founding fathers and our founding documents that said something that no other founding documents say, that we were all created equally by our Creator and that our rights come from God and not from one another. That's such an important part of who we are as Americans. It leads to liberty and freedom. And as we strive to make sure that every individual experiences their highest potential, we must recognize the foundation of this country, which is the Judeo-Christian foundation. I'm thankful that President Trump has decided to focus this rededication on our founding principles, which are, in fact, Judeo-Christian principles.
Senator Scott, what do you make of the criticism that, you know what, we should have separation of church and state and that this country was not founded on Christian principles? Those are some of the criticisms I'm seeing from organizations online. What do you have to say to that, sir?
Well, anytime you do anything of value, someone's going to criticize you. But let's remember, our First Amendment was to protect the church from the state, not the state from the church. And so we should recognize the importance that in America, you can believe or not believe at all. But the fact of the matter is, it is our foundation that recognizes historically and biblically that our rights come from God.
Senator, you have often credited your faith and your faith as bringing you and your wife, Mindy, together. How critical is your faith in your marriage, in your life, and honestly, in your professional career?
It's so important to me to have my faith at the forefront of my decision making. The truth of the matter is that Mindy and I share this strong common bond of faith, which lays the foundation every single day in our relationship. She also enjoys beating me at tennis. I'm not sure why she likes that so much, but she does. But the fact of the matter is that every day we return, even after our miserably suffering another loss, back to the foundation of the Lord. And that works not only in marriage, but it also works as a legislator. I do not try to force people to believe as I believe, but it's a recognition of that faith-filled foundation that gives me discernment and the recognition that we can agree to disagree without being disagreeable. And that makes this country the strongest country on the planet.
You know, Bishop Robert Barron, he said that God is essential to every democracy, and we always talk about these threats to democracy, and he believes, he's saying this, that the true threat to democracy is a marginalization of God. Senator Scott, do you agree with that?
Well, Romans 8:31 and actually John 8:31 and 32 says that you have to abide in the truth so that the truth will set you free. The one thing that we can recognize in our founding fathers, John Adams said that America would not survive, paraphrasing, without being a moral and religious people. He got it right way back then. We need to live it right now.
Senator, you're a Christian, you are a man of faith, and a United States Senator. So it is important to put this in the context of what's happening now in the country, the wars we're involved with, the unrest at home, and some of the crime going on. And we're seeing a lot of this, the cost of living. How important is an event like this as it translates to winning the hearts and minds of people when it comes to the midterm elections coming up, while Americans are struggling and suffering to make ends meet and pay their bills?
Well, there's no doubt that America desperately needs hope. We don't need a happy hope. We need a hope whose foundation is built to last. Eternal truths always work. And one thing that we should be doing during these midterms is focusing on who we are and why it matters. Who we are a country founded upon Judeo-Christian ethos. Why does that matter? Because when we find ourselves under pressure, we find hope in our faith. We find hope in our fellow citizens. Why? Because we always rally. We rally after major incidents, major challenges, but we need to learn how to rally before them and perhaps even prevent them, whether it's crime, whether it's education, whether it's income and poverty. We have an opportunity to rise to the occasion by rallying on those foundational principles.
Senator Scott, what do you think about President Trump backing this? He's bringing faith back to the White House, rededicating this country to one nation under God. Would this be happening under a president, say, like Joe Biden, or if there were a President Kamala Harris? What do you think, sir?
Sorry, I was shocked that I got a little nauseous there. Sorry about that. No, it certainly would not be happening under Biden or Harris or, frankly, Mamdani or AOC. The one thing that Americans recognize is authenticity. The reason why President Trump is one of the most successful presidents in my lifetime is because he's authentically and sincerely being himself. The type of change we've seen in the last several months, 17 months or so, comes from the fact that he studied this nation while he was gone for 4 years and implemented a strategy that has worked effectively, not for the wealthy, not for the poor, but for Americans, all stripes, all races, all income. Why? Because he keeps the focus on the main thing, which is individual liberty leads to human prosperity.
Senator, wise words, strong words. You think you're going to run for president?
Only the good Lord knows, but one thing I plan to do is run for re-election in 2028.
There you go. Senator Tim Scott, great to see you. Thanks for being with us.
God bless. Thank y'all. Bye-bye.